want to talk to you today this video is for all parents about the sexting conversation you need to have with your kids. Yes, I know none of you talk to your kids about sex as a general rule. We do a horrible job when it comes to educating, but this has even become a life and death situation in some cases. So I want to discuss what's becoming a bigger and bigger issue with teenagers, and you need to have a conversation with them, and that's about sexting, okay? Sexting, first off, even between minors, can be illegal depending on where you live and can be considered child porn. Now, if it's consensual, they don't usually prosecute, but keep in mind, it's not always consensual. And so that's something to keep in mind. Teenagers cannot be trusted to keep private pictures private. Hell, adults can't even be trusted for that in a lot of cases. So here's some of the statistics. 17% of underage sexters have admitted to sharing those messages. So when your daughter sends a picture of herself to her boyfriend, about 1 in 5 of those young men are going to share this picture. And of the ones that share this picture, 55% of them share it with more than one person, okay? Now here's the disturbing numbers I want to talk about and some other things we need to address. 65% of 12 to 15-year-olds have a smartphone. I'm not going to address the under 12. If you're giving your kids a phone before they're 10, before they're 12, you're crazy. Okay, for a lot of reasons, screen time, everything else. And no, safety is not a valid reason to get them a phone. It's a lie. I'm 59, and the statistics on stranger abductions are the same from when I was 9 years old to now. It is media stirred hype, and the reality is we just live in a fearful society. Of those 12 to 15-year-olds that have a smartphone, 25% of them have received an unwanted sexual message. Think about that. 25%. Then the question becomes, why do girls sext? 40% is a joke. Okay. 34% to feel sexy. Not sure why a 12 to 15-year-old needs to feel sexy. And then 12% because they're pressured to do so. Now keep in mind, this is something a lot of people don't realize, that most girls have been or felt sexualized between 10 and 12 years old. Let that sink in. There should be a pretty good ick factor there. That we're sexualizing 8 to 10-year-old girls, or they feel that way. And again, it's not always strangers. It's the creepy uncle. Something to keep in mind. Everyone's worried about stranger abductions and assaults. It's more often somebody in the family or that the family knows. So remember that. Sexting can often lead to bullying and humiliation. We have kids that will share those pictures. Now remember, 12% felt pressured to do so. All right, so I'm going to break up with you if you don't send me this picture for a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And then they share it, or they post it on a Discord server, or they post it in another group and shame and humiliate the person. And there's even another more disturbing trend that is becoming more and more common, and that is sextortion. Okay? Now, the traditional version of sextortion is once you've gotten an intimate picture of somebody, you threaten to expose that picture if they don't send you more, or video, or something more explicit. That used to be the trend. Now we're seeing a greater trend towards financial sextortion. Okay? Gift cards, money to the Bitcoin. Understand there have been teenagers that have killed themselves because of this. with all the data breaches. There's a new, what is it called? Google Earth scam emails going out. And I received a bunch of these. So I have an account that is tied to, and the only thing that's tied to credit cards and such, it's not my business account. And you get a PDF and it has your name, address, and phone number. Looks like a real email. And as you open it, it's a picture of your street. And they're saying, we've been watching what you're doing on your computer. You've been watching porn sites and doing things that'd be very embarrassing to you. And if you don't send us money to this code, some Bitcoin, they put a set amount, we're going to expose you. And the first moment I got it, there was this second of panic. Then I'm like, wait a second. I don't watch porn on my computer. I'm not a porn guy. And I realized, oh, it's just another scam. It's actually one of the fastest growing scams. Don't open these things. But so now we have this extortion going on with teenagers. Okay. So while I don't want them to send naked pictures of themselves to anyone, even more important is that you have the conversation with your children that they never send these pictures at all, okay? And especially not to somebody they've met online that they don't know personally, because what we're seeing happening is they're presenting themselves as a real individual. And think about a teenage boy who, can you get him talking about, would you do this, would you do that, sending pictures, all of this, and then they threaten to expose them and post these online. Jeez. How trapped, how horrible would that individual feel? You know, how shamed, you know, the humiliation they're going to suffer. So things to keep in mind that talk to your kids about: never, ever sexting, okay? Talk to them about why. Again, all the self-value, self-worth. But when they send that sexting picture, it's out there forever. Forever. We don't know where it's going to go. You don't know how it's going to be used. And if it's a boy sexting unwanted attention to a girl, they could end up criminally prosecuted and be labeled a sex offender. Think about that. Nobody wants that for their child, nor should they. I know of a case right now, girls being bullied, and this is happening. And this is something where you can report it to the National Center of Exploited Children, as well as the local police. And let me tell you, something is going to get done about it. And that's why I almost always recommend you report it to the Center for Exploited Missing Children so that it doesn't get overlooked, okay, by local police as boys being boys or just a prank. So if there's something not done, again, if this is school related, you can look at getting them involved, maybe getting them expelled. And of course, your teenager is going to go, I don't want this to cause a big problem with my friends. But the issue is having these conversations with them about the importance of not sexting, especially as a young adult, especially as a underage child. These pictures are forever. They're out there. Have I sexted? I have. But I send out a picture of Dick Van Dyke as my dick pic. Okay? So understand that we've all, as adults in today's world, a lot of people don't think twice about this. But the reality is, this is a huge issue and it's growing. There were a couple of years ago, 3,000 reported cases of the sextortion to the FBI. I don't know what the recent numbers are, but it's growing exponentially. And we're giving smartphones to kids way too young. They don't understand the implications of, well, it's not a big deal to send this picture. It is a big deal. So parents, have this conversation with your children. It's going to be awkward, going to be uncomfortable, but you need to have it, reinforce it occasionally, because you don't want your children caught up in a problem like this. All right? If you want to have a conversation about this or other topics, my contact information is down below. I hope you guys have a great week and don't ever have to deal with this.